This morning, there are a lot of safety questions about the 15-seat Ford Club van involved in that crash. Bisnar Chase is a personal injury lawyer in California. He's been involved in over a dozen lawsuits involving 15-passenger vans, and he joins me now from Irvine, California. Brian, I'd like your reaction, sir, when you heard of this accident up here in Canada in Bathurst. What was your initial reaction when you realized the type of van this team was in?
You know, it's a tragedy. It's something that, frankly, doesn't surprise me. Since there's so many of these vans on the road, you expect it to happen, unfortunately. So I wasn't surprised, and that's too bad.
And why were you not surprised? After the research you have done into these 15-passenger vans, what have you found to leave you not being surprised?
Well, these vans are based on about a 30 to 40-year-old platform, so it doesn't cost a lot to manufacture them. So there's so many of them on the road, they're very profitable. Most people, families, don't own these vans. So the people that use these vans are going to be a school team, a high school team, a church group, someone that rents one for a family outing. They're going to be loaded up with 10 to 15 people, which makes them more unstable than when they're empty. And if you get involved in an emergency situation, you're going to roll over, and this is going to happen.
When you talk about becoming more unstable with the greater number of people, I think most people have a sense that if you put more people in a car, that it's heavier and it will be actually safer on the roads. What's the difference with these vans?
You know, and that's a good question. Common sense would dictate that if you load up a car with a lot of weight, you're going to lower the center of gravity and make it more stable. The problem with these vans is they have what's called stadium seating in them. Like if you're in a football stadium or a baseball stadium where the seats get higher as you go to the upper levels. Same with these vans. As you move rearward in the van, the seats actually get higher so the people in the back can see over the heads of the people in front of them. What that does is it raises the center of gravity of the van. It also places weight behind the rear axle of the van, and that causes them to be very unsteady and prone to roll over if you have to take emergency evasive action.
And when you do take emergency evasive action, how does the steering in a type of van such as this compare to what most of us are used to in a car?
Oh, it's very, I could describe it as loose. The back end starts fishtailing. You really have no ability to control one of these vans if they start to get sideways. We have done testing on these vans, and you can literally, if they're fully loaded, roll them over at about 32, 33 miles per hour. This is not a 50, 60, 70 mile an hour event. They are very unstable at very low speeds. You
also did some research on the roof construction of some of these 15-person vans. What did you find?
Yeah, the roofs on them are very weak. They're, due to the weight of the car, they're exempt from the federal standards, so they don't even have to comply with that down here in the United States. However, the federal standards down here are phenomenally weak anyway, and our government is looking at increasing the roof strength. But one of the problems for the people in these vans is they are very heavy. They have a very weak roof, and if you happen to be under one of the weak portions of the roof, you're going to be subjected to possible injury from the roof as well.
Brian, one of the provinces here in Canada, Nova Scotia, has actually banned these vehicles for use in school transportation. What's the status in the United States?
Yeah, there are about 29 states currently that ban the use of these buses or these vans in public schools, and it should be across the board that way, but it's not, unfortunately.
Many community outlets use them. For example, some of the senior organizations, some youth camps, if you will.
Oh, they do. And, you know, I've had a van case one time where a church group rented one of these vans, loaded it up for a church outing, unfortunately got in a rollover accident, and 7 people were killed in that accident, and 1 person had a catastrophic brain injury. And that's the type of people that get involved in these accidents. My daughter belongs to a church, and they go on a church outing, which is a great thing to do, where they go down to Mexico and help people build homes. I was shocked to find out one day when I was at the church to see a parking lot full of these 15-passenger vans. And after I saw that, I told her, you know, you can't ride in those vans on these trips.
Bisnar Chase, it's good to talk to you. In Bathurst, New Brunswick today, they are focusing on mourning the deaths of these boys. I'm sure these questions will come in the days ahead, but I'm going to thank you for sharing your research with us from Irvine, California.